Welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Podcast, hosted by CRM technology and sales process expert Christopher Smith, talking with sales leaders that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Listen to find out how the best of the best achieve success with their team and CRM technology. And remember, unless you are the lead dog, the view never changes.
Welcome to Sales Lead Dog. Today we have joining us John Golan-Vo. John, welcome to Sales Lead Dog.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Good to be here.
John, tell us about your current role and your company.
Well, thanks. I am a founder and CEO of Fulcrum SaaS, and Fulcrum is what they call a customer data platform, and we have the ability to do a tremendous amount of data mining for our clients and helping them really leverage that into experiences for their customers. We started this about 4.5 years ago, and it's been a very interesting journey. I'm looking forward to talking with you a little bit more about it.
Well, that's awesome. One of the big reasons why I wanted you to have on the show and talking about Fulcrum and what you guys do is personalization is the thing now in marketing. I see it all the time. I'm sure you see it as well. As a CRO or VP of sales, why should I even care about personalization?
That's a really good question. We get that asked a lot. So taking just a little bit of a higher view past the personalization, one of the things that a lot of CROs, CMOs, even just presidents of companies, some of the things that they're kind of dealing with is the landscape of marketing and advertising in general is really changing. And I'm sure you've heard about, third-party cookies going away. If you've ever been on a website and you're looking at a vacation, a VRBO or something like that, and you leave that site and go check the weather, you'll probably notice that you get ads served up to you all over the place. And sometimes those ads aren't even for the site you were just on, they're for competitors. And that's really kind of where third-party cookies come into play. And the reason I'm bringing it up is it's changing the landscape of how marketers kind of organize their activities and how they set and chart their course. Those third-party cookies are going to go away, and that is really going to be, if you remember, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the Y2K way back many years ago. This is kind of the Y2K for cookies. The third-party cookie deprecation is going to be a big deal, and so really what happens now is that you need to figure out different ways to engage with your customers with the data that you do have. And so, Chris, you asked me the question about, hey, if I'm a chief revenue officer, what do I care about personalization? How do I deal with it? You're going to need to figure out a solution to do more with what you have. And what I mean by that is when users are on your website and they're moving around, they're looking at things, they're downloading, they're watching videos, they're experiencing content, that is all happening in your environment, on your website. And that's what we call first-party data. And they're basically clues to what is of interest to that user while they're in your environment, while they're on your website. And you need to determine a way to use to, first of all, collect that information, make sense of it, and then actually use it to help further and strengthen engagement for those users. Does that kind of make sense so far?
It does. So to kind of encapsulate that or summarize what you're saying, so that, if I'm a CRO, it's really about leveraging those clues that they're leaving behind.
Yep.
To Absolutely. Say, how can I take that engagement to the next level? Is that right?
Exactly. And so it really starts with being able to collect that data. So most companies have some analytical platforms, primarily, Google Analytics is what most companies use. And that's a great platform. There are free versions and you can get up to the more expensive paid versions, but they're going to give you a good idea of like how long people are on your site, what pages, what channels people are coming from. That's all really good information. But what is not going to allow you to do is to really understand who's downloading the white papers, who's looking at this product, who's coming from, my Facebook campaign, who's coming in from my paid campaigns. And when you do first-party data the right way, you get to really get those clues associated with individuals. And when you have all of these different pieces of information tied to an individual, you therefore then can understand, hey, Chris Smith has looked at this page and this page and this page. but he hasn't looked at all of our blog articles that really support all those pages he just looked at, which is going to strengthen engagement and might encourage him to sign up for our subscription service, right? So those are the kind of scenarios that this first party data and then the personalization are really going to help you motivate that consumer.
And really, and part of that motivation is figuring out, based upon those clues they're leaving behind, what is that next message you're serving up? What is the process for figuring that out, and and really determining how I should be engaging with them?
Yeah, it's a good question, and there's a lot of different, many paths to the same summit, so to speak. But fundamentally, in order to really do a good job of collecting the data, you need what they call a customer data platform, and that's what Fulcrum is. And a customer data platform is an environment that allows you to connect and collect data in real time. So you're able to push data into the system from your media campaigns, from your sales transactions if you're conducting commerce on your site. All of that data falls into one central location. When it's in that central location, then you get a unified view of everything that's going on. For example, and this is really how we got started, about 6 years ago, we were working with a very large customer. We were sending out millions, like just sub 100 million emails annually. And we started to see some decay and some decline in certain areas of the campaigns. And it was because we were not segmenting the audience as granularly as we should have. And that was a challenge because we didn't have the data. So if you know anything about data is difficult to get, and sometimes it's kind of like sodium pentothal, right? It's this truth serum that just draws everything out into the light. And sometimes it's hard for people to get that and to connect it. So we built a small piece of middleware that connected this data with our marketing, and in a matter of 35 to 40 days, we were able to take, going from 6 customer segments to about 36 because we had the data. So now we've got the ways to understand who falls into what cohort, and the messaging that was going out via email primarily was really in line with those individuals. So that goes back to this whole thing about first party data, understanding your customer and giving them relevant and contextual experiences. If you do that, you're going to find that their engagements are going to be much stronger, and the lifetime value of the customers tend to do very well because you know who they are and they trust you. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. It really does. And, it's funny, it's all about the data. And, my world of CRM's only as good as the data that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got crap data, it's not going to be a great tool for you.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Right? And so when it comes to marketing, that story of going from 6 to 36 segments, or whatever that number was, that's the world we're living in now.
Yes.
If we're in that world before of like, oh no, we focus on X, Y, and Z, those are the people we're targeting or the companies we're targeting, you're missing the whole rest of the alphabet.
Absolutely. I mean, think about this, Chris. So let's say you are you're an avid skier, right? And you go to a website that deals with all types of snow sports, cross country, backcountry, area skiing, snowboard, skate skiing, all the snowshoeing, all of that. If you've been to that site multiple times and you've made a handful of purchases, why should you see the exact same thing, the exact same homepage that everybody else sees, right? You've been to that site and you've purchased a ton of backcountry skiing gear. Why would they ever show you a snowboard or show you a pair of ice skates? Or show you what's the one where the guys ski and then they shoot whatever that setup is, right?
Biathlon.
Biathlon. Thank you very much. They know that you are a backcountry skier based on everything you've purchased and everything you've looked at. So if they want to engage with you in a very efficient manner, they should show things that are relevant to you. And I use this kind of cheesy analogy all the time. It's kind of like sommelier, right? You go into a fancy restaurant, you order salmon, and the sommelier comes by with the wine selection. They're not going to serve you, a bottle of champagne or, a tall boy, PBR tall boy. They're going to try to pick a wine like a Pinot Noir that's going to go well with that salmon, right? I mean, that's, So it's really about understanding what your customers are interested in, what they've done and what they haven't done. And again, going back to the customer data platform, with Fulcrum, that's what we're able to do. We're able to understand in real time what they're looking at, what they've done and what they haven't done. For example, let's say that one of our goals for I'm an insurance company, right? And one of my goals is to get people to subscribe to our newsletter so that we can so they can self-identify, so we can educate them. Well, if they've been to the site 3 or 4 times and they still haven't signed up for this newsletter, instead of having that sign up for the newsletter just sit dormant up in the right corner, it doesn't get any attention. We kind of bring that up front and center, say, hey, did you know? And plus, I know that all the things you've looked at from an insurance perspective have been about commercial general liability. So I could put a message saying, hey, did you know we've got some great information on commercial liability trends and cost saving structures? Like to sign up for our newsletter and get access to all this great stuff. Oh, okay, great. I mean, so again, it's about talking to that customer about what they're interested in.
Oh, totally. And that's what I was thinking about as you were talking, that, you know, we work with a lot of banks and around their lending process. And like anybody else, like if I'm going out to get a loan, I'm going to go out and do research. I'm going to visit a bunch of different websites. I'm going to check to see what they have. And if I'm going to a website and then that homepage is just not a generic homepage showing something that really is not relevant to me at all, but instead has, that information about, like, just serves right up off the bat, information about commercial lending or whatever it is that I've been researching, I'm going to engage with that right away, or I'm far more likely to than versus hunting around through the website, looking, trying to find my way through the jungle, so to speak, to get to the information I want.
Absolutely. And some of the things that we've done for our customers, when you have a bank is a great example, that's a fairly complex business. But one of the things you can think about is, so let's say you show up, we've all been to the crazy amusement parks, right? Where you get there and the kids want to go here and this person wants to go there and you need to go. So you land at this thing. Imagine if you got to the amusement park and there was no sign, there was no direction, and you're like, okay, your ticket's good for today. Start walking around to figure out where things are. Lots of times people organize the site kind of like that. You hit the homepage and you can see like where some things are, but there's about us, our resources, what we do. Okay. But if there was something that's like, hey, what brought you to the site? Let's go back to the bank. Are you, commercial or residential customer? Oh, I'm residential. Okay, great. What things do you need help with? Do you need help with college savings? Do you need help with checking? Do you need help with bill pay? Oh, this is what I'm interested in. So you can get quickly to the things that you want to, right? It's just like you walk into a business office, right? It's 20 floors. There's a directory. It shows you how to get to where you want to go, right? And so that's what Fulcrum can do. And we have the ability to really, what we call is our decision tree. So you come to the site and we say, hey, do you need help with this or this? I need help with this. Great. Do you need help with these things, or these things? Oh, actually that one. Okay, great. Red, blue, or green? Oh, green. Boom. And so, you start to drill down and you just make that experience very easy so that that customer doesn't have to go click around, because you're going to get friction. They're going to get fatigued. They're not going to find what they want. And guess what? When they leave, because they're they might not even know they're dissatisfied. They're just like, I don't know where I'm at. I'm going to find somebody else. So they hit the back browser. They go back to those listings that Google pulled up and they go to the next one. Yep. You had somebody on your site, and because you weren't organized, you didn't know and didn't ask the right questions, they just ended up leaving out of fatigue. And so that's where Fulcrum really helps, because we can help you understand that. Does that resonate?
Totally. And you're also differentiating yourself from everybody else that has that same website structure you were talking about.
Absolutely.
That's dormant, that just lays there, instead of reaching out and engaging with them.
Exactly. And there's easy ways to engage. And so think about this. So think about if you're a clothing company, right? And, let's say it's March and you're a clothing company. With Fulcrum, you would have the ability to ascertain the location of people coming to your site. And these would be the brand new users, right? So let's say you're a brand new user coming to the clothing site from Minnesota. I'm going to guess you're probably going to want to show different types of clothing for the Minnesota folks versus the South Beach, Florida folks, right? I mean, and that's where you have the ability to engage quickly as opposed to going there and then trying to go through all the different layers, the different seasons, the springs, this and that. So that's a way you can quickly engage a brand new user in real time, because the way that our system works is we're built for speed and we're built for scale. So when a user comes to the site, we know it's their very first time, they've never been there before. So we can treat them very differently. We know their location. And so we can provide them with relevant information. Again, if it's clothing or if it's travel, we can say, hey, this is the distance that you are from this place or whatever. So that really helps engage. And I tell you one thing that is absolutely so true and so critical in marketing, it's not only engaging, but when you engage in the right way, you instill confidence. Mm-hmm. And when you instill confidence, they're not going to try to shop you as much as the other guys. Right. And so those two things are really important in that, what we call that customer journey, starting that out on the right foot.
Yep. So I'm educated now as being a CRO, and I understand now why I need to care about this. How do I embark on this journey to really begin transforming our website into an engagement platform?
That's a great question. So there's a couple of different things. The first of all is if you find a company like Fulcrum that is a customer data platform, that's really going to provide you the infrastructure and the technology that's going to allow you to easily connect your data and to find these pieces of information. So really the first thing you need to do is to understand, you need to have a system to be able to track the users that are coming into your site. Understanding what they're doing, what they're not doing is the first thing. Second thing is people that are successful on your site, meaning they've completed a purchase or they've asked for a demo or they've signed up for an account, whatever that conversion goal is, you need to understand how they got there. Because if you don't know how somebody got there, there's no way you can replicate a nice path. And so with Fulcrum, we have the concept of the user journey, the customer journey. And we know when somebody shows up to the site, they typically, from the starting point to the ending point is the conversion. We know that, for example, the people that get to that conversion, they typically do three things. They read this piece of content, they watch this video, and then they look at these customer testimonials, for example. And we know that is the most efficient path that user goes from the front to the conversion. And if you understand that, then that tells you the ability to just think about this. Think about, if you're trying to get somebody to go to the conversion, and the path is these 3 stepping stones across the river. You got people that are downstream trying to swing across the river. You got people upstream trying to muddy through. If you know that this is the most efficient, durable path, what you have to do is like, hey, come over here. You guys come over here. So with our personalization, you can move people. You can affect that customer journey to get them to take that most efficient path. And that is where you're going to find your revenue is going to go up, your customer satisfaction is going to go up, and that gestation period from the first time to the conversion is going to go down. And those are 3 huge things. Those are wins in your CRO playbook for sure.
Right. Thinking of the whole process of getting to that end goal of having a platform like yours implemented and supporting my website, what's the easy part of this process and what's the hard part of this process?
Well, this sounds self-serving. The easy part is getting us installed. I mean, and I know that's honking our horn, but we've spent an enormous amount of money and time to make it easy from a technical perspective. So in order to get Fulcrum set up on your environment, you can deploy it through Google Tag Manager. And if you know anything about that, that's about a 5-minute process. So it's very, very easy, very, very light. So when our code is on the site, we start collecting data immediately. In fact, last week we were on a call. We were doing a pilot program for one of our customers, and the president of the company was on the line, the CMO was on the line, and some of our support guys. And we were going through the whole thing, just talking about some things. And the CMO had neglected to get the code started on the site for this kind of kickoff call. Right. While we were on that call, he was IMing me back and forth in Slack to say, hey, can you send over that snippet? And I did. And then 3 minutes later, he says, okay, I just deployed it. Can you see? And I slacking my other engineer. He's like, yes, we see data coming through. So that was kind of an interesting clandestine, the CMO was cool. The president was fine. He didn't know. But anyways, I'm trying to say is that that's how easy that code is to get going on there. So that's the easy part. The harder part, and I wouldn't say it's harder, it's just a more thoughtful part. The thoughtful part comes in the sense of, okay, guys, what do we want to accomplish? What do we want to do? Now, some of our customers have thought about that, have it documented, and it's just like, hey, here's our game plan. Can you help us get here, here, and here? And if we have that information, that makes our job really easy because we know exactly what to do. So the thoughtful part is, if you know what you want to get done, hey, we need to take our new user conversion rate from account create from here to here. All right, great. And what we're going to do is when people come to the site, if they don't hit that account create in the first 3 or 4 pages, we're going to serve up a banner, an incentive. We're going to give them a nudge, something to get them to take action. And we're going to try different things. We'll A/B test things. But the cool thing is, once you have one of these rules running, Chris, that at the top of the funnel, there's brand new people dropping in all the time. And if you have 3 or 4 of these personalization rules to advance them into that first part of the conversion, then there's a firing all the time. There's a brand new, it's like a tour guide, right? The tour guide has the speak, they have the spiel, the whole thing, the jokes with the driver, blah, blah, blah. They've got that down. They have a new group of people every day showing up. And the effect of that little shtick is perfect. And it works really well. So that's kind of how we can help with that top of the funnel acquisition.
Right. What you described, it's very similar in my world that, to be successful in any kind of implementation or a process like this, you need to have that end goal in mind of where you want to get to. And when we work with a client, if they're not really sure, we help them through that, leveraging the experience that we have. Can you talk about that in terms of if I am a CRO and I'm not really sure, I know I need this, but I'm not 100% sure, what my end game should be. What's that discussion like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So fundamentally, the way that we walk into that part of the equation is we've got 3 pieces. The first piece is, let's talk about your brand new users, Chris. What are the first 3 conversion goals you want that brand new user who's never been to your site? What do you want them to see? What do you want them to do? Oh, John, I want them to download this white paper because it's really effective and it really makes a big difference and sets us up. Okay, I want people to create a free account and I want people to, watch this, this 2-minute video on why we're different from our competitors. So if those are the 3 primary things that you want for a new user to convert to, that makes it easy for us. And we set up the rules, we set up the logic, and that all happens. Again, that's that top of the funnel, boom, boom, boom. So you've got these guys moving from new user to converted, and then let's go to the next stage. So the next stage would be, okay, Chris, we took care of your brand new users, your returning customers, your people that have the accounts that have done those 3 things. What do you want these guys to do? Okay, well, I'd like these people to move up from the gold level to the platinum. I'd like these people to go from here to here. So we basically understand what you want to get done with your existing customers. And so we have 3 rules for new and 3 rules for existing. We organize them, we A/B test them, we get them running. The nice thing is, again, you've got people at the top of the funnel, new people coming in all the time, and you've got a path for at least those first 2 big stages. And then from there, we say, okay, let's talk about the rest of your business. And some questions that we would ask are like, hey, what's your churn like? And they're like, oh, well, it's kind of tough. We've got about 23% churn, but we don't really know when they're going to churn. Okay, well, that's where we can help out, because with Fulcrum, you have data on all the individuals. So what we would do is we'd get a list of people who have churned, and we would forensically look at them, like, when did they stop coming? What did they drop off? What were the signs? And then from there, we can put those into play so that we can send out emails. We can remind people to come to the site. When they do come back to the site, we give a big hug. Hey, thanks for coming back. Here's 10%. Do things like that. Right. Because I tell you, and this goes back to, Chris, what we were talking about earlier, third parties are going away. That is a huge piece of the acquisition puzzle that people are playing. That token is not going to work anymore. You're going to put that in and it's going to come right out of that coin slot in the bottom. It's not going to be accepted. You're not going to be able to play the game like that. Right. And so first party data and doing more with the customers you have, upsell, cross-sell, reducing churn, personalizing, developing confidence, strengthening the engagement, strengthening referrals, all that stuff is super critical. And if you don't have a plan and a platform to execute that stuff, those are going to be tough meetings, I tell you, because they're going to come down.
Oh, yeah.
The landscape is changing. So
I love that analogy where you're putting the coin in the slot and it's just coming out the bottom. That is so spot on.
you can't play the game. Nope. Sorry.
So we're up and running. Things are going great. What do I need to be thinking about long term as a CRO or a sales leader, when it comes to personalization?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. One is there's the technology. So you need to make sure that the technology you have is something that can be executed. Again, with Fulcrum, the execution is all done within the platform. So just a real quick example, if you want to show people from Minnetonka, Minnesota, a special banner for this new clothing line that's aligned with their weather, it's as easy as saying, show me all the people in my system that have Minnesota address, and anybody that's new coming in, I want to build a segment very quickly. And then you basically say, hey, creative department, show me the banner I want. You basically put that into your system. You tell us where that image path is, because every image on your website has a path where it's sitting. Yep. And that's it. That is all you do from a personalization. So that's a really simple personalization strategy, but that's the nuts and bolts of it. That's what you need to be doing. So as you're the CRO working through, I think the big things are to think about, hey, if I have the ability to personalize my site for any of my customers, what are the main things that I would want to do? And it might be location. It might be the frequency of visit. You might want to segment your audience into A, B, and C. My A team, these guys never use a discount code, always buy the good margin stuff, buy frequently. B, a little bit less. C, these guys are they just go hunting after the coupon codes and all those things. And so you could put together strategies to where if you've got something that's on sale, your A team might not see that it's on sale. They just see the MSRP price because they buy like that all the time. Whereas the C group, they only buy on sale. So literally, if you and I were sitting shoulder to shoulder with each a laptop, and You're the A customer and I'm the C customer, we go to the site, we could see totally different things and totally different prices.
Right.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, think about the uncarved block analogy, right? If you could make this thing any way, because we have all the data, we know everything about everybody.
Yep.
So that's kind of the cool part. Does that answer the question? I know that's a little ethereal there.
Oh, no, that's great. With this change in personalization and the changes that are coming, does it change the KPIs I should be worried about or looking at?
Yeah, it does, because one of the KPIs that a lot of the CMOs look at is, hey, how many clicks did we get? What was the conversion rate? Did they come to our site? Which is great, because you run an ad out there, whether it's on Facebook, on Google, wherever, you want to drive people to the site. And a lot of people, they only look at that one metric. They saw it, they clicked, they came to the site. Great, we're done. You're not. You're just getting started. What did they do after that? And a lot of systems just kind of take, hey, they came through the door, and then we're the bouncer, right, with a little counter. They come through the door, click, oh, hey, great, yeah, that ad worked. They came through the door. But if they come to the door, they look around and they ask for a glass of water as opposed to buying dinner. I don't want people that are drinking water. I want people that are sitting down, and spending a lot of time, and coming back time after time. And that's where Fulcrum can understand who's doing that. And think about this, Chris. Think about the world of retargeting, and that's a little different than third-party cookies. Retargeting is, when we talked about that vacation experience, let's say you're on VRBO, or Verbo now as they're called, and you're looking at a condo in Aspen, and you look at it, and you're pretty intense on it. You look at the videos, all the stuff, and you leave. And then later on, you get an ad for that same condo from Verbo. That's just retargeting. They said, look, Chris was interested in this, seemed like he really wanted it. Maybe we could nudge him. That retargeting, that's still going to be around. But the third-party cookie where you would have all these other different ads from vendors, that's going away. My point is that retargeting is going to be another key stake, because third party is going away. So, but you need to be really smart about how you do that. For example, let's say you come to Verbo and you look at that Aspen condo one time and then you leave. Lots of times companies have it set up. If they come to the site, they look at something, they don't convert, they leave, we retarget them. Well, you only looked at it once. That's a tire kicker. That's not a test driver. I want test drivers. So with Fulcrum, you can put a filter on that. It says, look, do not create a retargeting segment unless they did X, Y, and Z. They looked at the property, they looked at how much it cost, they watched the video, they did some things that showed intention. And that's where you're going to be able to get those test drivers versus tire kickers. And if you just chase tire kickers, you're gonna burn through your retargeting budget before the quarter's over, right?
Right.
And it's a problem.
Yeah. That's awesome. John, if people want to reach out, we're wrapping up here. We're running out of our time on Sales Lead Dog. It's been great chatting with you. This is amazing stuff. If people want to reach out and connect with you to talk more about personalization and the changes that are coming, or if they want to find out more about Fulcrum, what's the best way for that to happen?
Just hit us up on our website, Fulcrum SaaS, SaaS, software as a service, fulcrumsaas.com. And all of our info's on there. You can even see a little bit of the inside. And here's the thing, we love this stuff. So we'd love to have conversations. We're good at what we do, and love to help people with their business, because this third party thing, it's the new Y2K, folks. Get ready, buckle up.
I love that too. It is the new Y2K, and like big changes are coming, people. Be ready for them.
They are. We're here to help. So thanks for having me on.
You're on LinkedIn. They can find you there as well. We'll have all the info in our show notes. If you like what you're hearing, please give us a good rating and follow us on your podcast platform of choice. Thank you for listening. And John, thank you again for coming on Sales Lead Dog.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Take care.
As we end this discussion on Sales Lead Dog, be sure to subscribe to catch all our episodes. On social media, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Watch the videos on YouTube, and you can also find our episodes on our website at impellercrm.com/Sales Lead Dog. Sales Lead Dog is supported by Impeller CRM, delivering objectively better CRM for business, guaranteed.